What are the contents of article of association? Article of association basically deals with the internal dealings, share, how much share capital of the company, authorized share capital, subscribe, paid up. So, these all things mention, and what type of shares company issue, either equity share, preferential shares, and what the division of shares. Generally we found the value of each share is 10 rupees. In modern circumstances, since 2 decades, we found the every company who issue the IPO, they start with the 10 rupees share of nominal value of each share 10 rupees. In the earlier days, the value of share may be 100 rupees or different value, but presently 99% cases we found the company mark their nominal value of their share is 10 rupees each. So, what is the value of share that is defined in this document? How the shares are transferred from seller to buyer. Once a buyer buy the sale, he apply for transfer of name against these shares, and in the company's register, when your name is registered in the company's member register, then you entitle for the benefit attached with the holding of these shares. So, transfer and transmission rules which applicable in this particular company, that is defined by this document. Transmission basically when someone become the owner of the shares without follow the routes of stock exchange, that is transmission. Basically this transmission is the concept of legal heirs. When some legal heirs become the owner of the shares, they not follow the route of stock exchange. In such cases the transmission rules are applicable. Transfer rules are applicable when we follow the route of stock exchange. Rights of shareholders and procedure for variation. Rights of shareholder, basically two type of rights available to shareholder. One in his individual capacity. In individual capacity, what rights are available? In the corporate capacity as a group, what rights are available? These rights defined in this rule book. And what is the procedure for variation of these rights? Section 48 of the Company Act basically deals with the class rights, and individual rights are such rights how you contest the election of directors and you apply for transfer of name if you become the buyer of shares, if you purchase the share from stock exchange, how you apply for transfer of name. So, corporate rights are such rights which you apply in group, and individual rights basically two rights here. One is to claim the dividend as a member, second is here contest the election of director, third one apply for transfer of name. So, increase, alteration and reduction of share capital, that is defined by this document, that is the internal matter of the company. How company increase their share capital, how company altered their share capital, how company apply the reduction in share capital. There are so many modes of reduction of share capital. One of the mode is buyback of shares. So, we not discuss here such things here. Appointment, remuneration, qualification of officers and directors. So, what the remuneration, qualification of directors and other officers, that defined by this document article of association. Basically no any qualification is applicable in case of directors, only one qualification is applicable, that is known as share qualification. Every director is bound to buy minimum one share of the company. So, this is the qualification, otherwise no any other qualification required. Rest of the things are categorized as disqualification. What are the disqualification? We discuss in the chapter of director there, what are the qualification and disqualification of directors. But these all things defined in this article of association. Composition and constitution of committees. either that's a audit committee, either that's a remuneration committee, either that's a CSR, corporate social responsibility committee, or capital redemption reserve account committee. So any type of committee, how perform their function and what's the composition of this committee, that defined by this document. Procedure of conversion of stock and share. So there are two terms, one is share, another is stock. Share basically considered as two, one is equity shares, another is preferential shares, and no any company allowed to issue the stocks. Basically fully paid up shares converted into stock, and stock may be converted into shares, shares may be converted into stock, but at the initial stage no any company allowed to issue the stock. Only companies are allowed to convert their fully paid up shares into stock. Notice of meeting, in which mode you gave the notice, what's the voting right, what's the mode of voting here you use, polling, proxy, quorum, related to the same rules defined by this document, and how company wind up. How company wind up, that's also defined by this document. If there is a voluntary winding up, then article of association